Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the sixth white-collar crime workshop. I'm very happy to see you all again. So at the Japanese Embassy today. So I am Daisuke Gamizu, the organizer of this event. So I would also like to express my cordial appreciation to the Embassy of Japan and Shinshu University. And this year, so we have prepared a program that deals with cutting-edge topics with extensive cooperation of practitioners and academics from the United States, the United Kingdom, and Japan who are active on the front line in various topics and fields. And we hope that you will enjoy each session. And to ensure the meaningful and frank conversation and discussions among speakers, so in each session, please, I would really appreciate it if you could refrain from quoting individual speakers by name in relation to their comments at this workshop. And also, we will record the sessions of this workshop, and later we plan to make them available for those who have just registered. So we would appreciate it if you could refrain from recording and filming. Okay, and now I'd like to move on to the opening remarks. And please welcome Mr. Glenn Liam, Chief of the Fraud Section of the Criminal Division of the DOJ.
Thank you very much, Daisuke, for that kind introduction. Good morning, everybody. It's great to see everybody here. And thank you very much to Shinshu University for the kind introduction to speak and make just some opening remarks here for today's sixth white-collar crime workshop. This is really a great tradition that you have created, and I'm sure everyone's looking forward to robust panel discussions on many topics in corporate crime enforcement and corporate compliance involving perspectives from all over different parts of the world. There really are. I'm just looking around, I see a lot of experts, and I'm looking forward to the discussions. It's an honor to be here today representing the Criminal Division of the Department of Justice. So I want to spend my time this morning talking about the efforts of the Criminal Division and the Fraud Section to have a meaningful impact on the corporate community. The department holds as one of its top priorities the prosecution of white-collar and corporate crime. We focus on holding accountable both individual wrongdoers who engage in criminal activity and the corporations who often benefit from their crimes. So I know you've all heard the framework that the Deputy Attorney General and others have referred to as carrots and sticks. I will confess that I use this term or phrase as well, this framework as well, and I'll also confess I have not come up with any better way of describing or any more creative or clever way to frame this important concept. So with apologies, I would like to talk to you about some carrots and sticks this morning. Some of the specific ways that the Criminal Division has been using both positive and negative incentives to help drive corporate behavior in the right direction. So let me first talk about some sticks. It's worth stating the obvious, but it is worth stating the obvious. The most impactful stick that the department has is the discretion we apply in our charging decisions. Who we prosecute and who we don't. The kinds of cases we bring. And the manner in which we resolve a matter with an individual or a corporation. The fraud section, the team that I lead, has been very intentional in this regard, especially in the last couple of years. We are highly focused on bringing high impact and complex cases on cutting edge issues. And just a few examples to share with you this morning. Just this past February, prosecutors in the fraud section broke new ground in the enforcement space in a complex and precedent-setting securities market manipulation trial involving cryptocurrency. This conviction was the first time an individual was ever convicted at trial under the federal securities laws and statutes for conduct relating to the cryptocurrency markets. And this marked a significant achievement not only for the section, for my team, and the department, but for prosecutions and prosecuting offices nationwide. Another example involves our healthcare fraud unit. Earlier this year, in just a 1-month period, trial attorneys in the fraud section successfully tried and convicted 3 different telemarketing doctors in 3 different trials in 3 different jurisdictions, again, in just a 1-month period, in connection with telemedicine and telemarketing schemes that resulted in hundreds of millions of dollars in losses to Medicare. And notably, the FCPA unit has had 4 trials this year, which tied a record for the most FCPA trials in a year, and demonstrates our continued pursuit of individual wrongdoers involved in international corruption. These convictions included convictions of the former Controller General of Ecuador and the former Finance Minister of Mozambique for multi-million-dollar bribery schemes in which they each actively participated. These trials and others underscore an important department policy, making sure that we hold individual wrongdoers, not just corporations, accountable for the crimes that they commit. Indeed, the fraud section is on pace to have over 40 trials this year around the country, which would make it one of the highest totals of trials that we've done in our history, just this year alone. Trials and individuals are not the only area of focus. Last year, the average loss amount for every defendant that the section charged was at an all-time high, $28 million per individual charged, loss attributed to each defendant. And we are currently, this year, on track to exceed that number this year. This year, we're on track to enter into 30% more corporate resolutions than we did last year. Our most recent resolution shows the importance of the cases that we pursue. This is a case that happened just earlier this week. On Wednesday, Raytheon Company agreed to pay nearly $1 billion to resolve a major government fraud scheme involving defective pricing on certain government contracts, as well as FCPA, Arms Export Control Act, and ITAR violations. The company will now enter into 2 separate deferred prosecution agreements, also known as DPAs, each requiring the retention of an independent compliance monitor for 3 years and enhancements to Raytheon's compliance program. And all of this is a direct result of concerted effort by my office and the department to focus on investigating and prosecuting more and more high-impact cases. Let's talk about another stick. Another stick is making sure that companies adhere to the terms of agreements that they reach with the department. Companies that fail to meet their obligations under corporate resolutions will be breached and face criminal prosecution. Since 2021, the fraud section has found multiple companies who broke their agreements in breach, and they've all faced significant consequences, such as having to plead guilty to additional criminal charges and paying hundreds of millions of dollars in additional penalties. The message here is clear. When we enter into agreements with companies, we expect them to keep their word and follow through with their promises, and the department will continue to take action against companies if they breach their obligations. Sticks can also be seen in our application of the criminal division's recently and significantly revised corporate enforcement and voluntary self-disclosure policy. That is a mouthful. I'm going to refer to it as the CEP. That's how we refer to it here at the department, the CEP. As many of you know, the CEP sets forth specific benefits for companies that voluntarily self-disclose misconduct, fully cooperate with our investigations, and timely and appropriately remediate misconduct. These changes allow prosecutors to make broader and finer distinctions between companies that do the right thing and those and compare and contrast those with those that fall short, both in terms of the form of the resolution and the amount of the fine. With these changes, companies are finding that minimal cooperation, very little cooperation, will result in little or no reduction of their criminal penalty. This year has provided several examples of companies that received limited cooperation and remediation credit under the revised CEP. I'll give a few examples. Just this August, we entered into a plea agreement with chip manufacturer Austell USA, in which it pled guilty, received a monitorship, and received only 5% cooperation and remediation credit under our CEP. This March, the international commodities trading company Trafigura received a guilty plea at only 10% cooperation credit under the CEP. And just last month, late September, the firm TD Securities received just 5% cooperation credit under the CEP. Now, every case is different, and certainly each of those three cases are different, but there are several common threads. Delay in preserving and providing evidence of misconduct. Delay in responsiveness to the department's request for information. And limited proactiveness in raising issues related to the ongoing investigations. These cases and others highlight the significant impact on cooperation credit when companies fail to be fully transparent, fail to be prompt, and cooperative with the investigations into identified misconduct. We've said this before publicly, and just it's worth repeating here now. Cooperation credit is not a given. Every company starts at 0% credit, and needs to earn the credit and the discounts that we offer under the CDP. Just as white-collar crime continues to erase borders, so too does our collaborative efforts to continue fighting it. And again, at a conference like this, where there are so many people from around the world, it's worth underscoring this point as well. We can try to combat criminals operating across borders, and to do this, cooperation with our international partners can't just be an aspiration. It has to be done, and it has to be intentional, and it is really critical. These foreign partnerships continue to grow, and support has brought some of the most important cases, some of our most important cases in the last several years. In March of this year, Gunvor SA, a Swiss-based international commodities trading company, admitted to paying $97 million that was used to bribe Ecuadorian officials in exchange for a series of oil-backed loan contracts with state-owned Petroecuador. Ecuadorian authorities, among others, provided valuable assistance in this prosecution. Up until that case, we had not worked in a successful effort such as that with Ecuador. In South Africa, our partnership with authorities has resulted in successful corporate enforcements. In December of 2022, ABB Limited, the Swiss global technology company, admitted to bribing an official at South Africa's state-owned energy company, and ABB then agreed to pay $315 million in penalties while its parent company entered into a deferred prosecution agreement, a DPA. Then, in January of this year, SAP, a German global software company, entered into a DPA and agreed to pay over $220 million after admitting to paying bribes to government officials in South Africa and in Indonesia. There is more to come. We continue to work closely, very closely, with our South African counterparts in pursuit of corrupt conduct. South Africa and Ecuador are just a few examples. We are expanding and deepening our partnership and cooperation with foreign law enforcement partners. Working with foreign authorities allows us to be force multipliers. This commitment has also taken shape through our International Corporate Anti-Bribery Initiative, or ICAB. We like acronyms in the Department of Justice, ICAB. 4 experienced prosecutors from the FCPA unit are building on our existing partnerships, as well as forming new partnerships to enhance our ability to identify and prosecute international bribery offenses. Our ICAB prosecutors have fostered relationships with high-level corruption officials in Latin America, in Africa, and in East Asia, and conducted in-depth consultations to assist our overseas partners in their efforts to address corruption in their own countries, and to help us identify areas of corruption that affect the United States as well. I'm happy to say that our work is bearing fruit. Through this initiative, we have already opened parallel investigations based on referrals from our foreign counterparts that we are actively working. So now let's talk about carrots. I'm sure we would all much rather talk about carrots. So to be clear, our goal, we've said this publicly and it's worth repeating here now, our goal is always to incentivize companies, and we want companies to design and build and remediate robust and sophisticated compliance programs. That is essential. It was essential, and it's now essential more than ever. And it is our goal and our wish that the community continue to head in that positive direction. Our goal is to try to help incentivize companies to identify and remediate misconduct quickly before small issues fester into larger issues, to self-report and cooperate with the department. And to do this, we have worked hard to offer carrots wherever possible and appropriate. The CEP also allows the criminal division to provide these benefits, these carrots, to companies that self-report, that fully cooperate with our investigations, and timely and appropriately remediate misconduct, even if their self-report does not meet all of the requirements of a voluntary self-disclosure. Over the past 2 years, several companies have taken advantage of these carrots. For example, last year, the chemicals manufacturer company Albemarle voluntarily disclosed that it conspired to bribe government officials for business in Vietnam, Indonesia, and India. The company then provided the department information from its internal investigation, including translation of documents, and it also promptly engaged in extensive remedial measures based on its internal investigation. As a result, Albemarle received a non-prosecution agreement, an NPA, and it was given 45% cooperation credit, which to date is the largest and the greatest amount, discount that we have given under our CEP, 45%. Earlier this year, SAP Corporation received 40% cooperation credit after its self-reported schemes to bribes to government officials in South Africa and Indonesia. The company then provided relevant evidence to the department while navigating foreign data privacy laws and resolved potential deconfliction issues with witnesses and other evidence, and completed timely remedial measures related to its compliance program. You can expect to see more of these types of reductions for proactive, complete, and impactful cooperation and remediation in the weeks and months to come. I suspect in our resolutions that are coming forward, you will see some significant reductions in cooperation credit under the CEP, with explanations as to why companies were given these significant reductions. Another very important carrot offered under the CEP is the declination, offered to companies that voluntarily disclose, fully cooperate, remediate, and disgorge, forfeit, or make restitution payments. To date, the fraud section has given 21 CEP declinations, and over the last 2 years alone, we have given 5 declinations to companies. These companies provided timely and voluntary disclosure, took significant remedial steps such as enhancing compliance programs, and paid millions of dollars in disgorgement or compensation to victims as warranted by the facts. Declinations have now also been given for cases not just in the FCPA context, but outside the FCPA context. We've given them in a market integrity case. We've also given it in a healthcare fraud case, and we definitely expect that trend to continue outside of the FCPA space alone. The most recent and the last carrot I'll talk about this morning for corporations is the criminal division's Corporate Whistleblowers Awards Pilot Program. This is the last acronym of the morning for me, the CWA. This is the new pilot program, the whistleblower program, which you're going to hear more about later this morning. This involves individuals who know about corporate crime. We've created an incentive structure for people to bring that information to the government. There's an entire panel, I think, later this afternoon designed to talk just about the whistleblower program, the CWA, so I'm not going to go into great detail here today. But I would like to just flag 2 aspects of the program that I think are noteworthy. The first is that the program provides whistleblowers financial incentives to make an internal report before coming to the department. So make an internal report to the company before it comes to the department. And the whistleblower program has made it clear that if that happens, the report is given to the company before the department, that could potentially increase the amount of the award that the whistleblower receives. The second feature is also very noteworthy. During the pendency of this program, the Corporate Enforcement Policy, our CEP, has been temporarily amended to provide that when a company receives an internal report from a whistleblower, if the company reports that misconduct to the department within 120 days and before the department reaches out to the company will be eligible for a presumption of a declination so long as the company fully cooperates and remediates and pays any applicable or relevant victim compensation or forfeiture. That's a significant development. I'm sure the panel will talk more about it. This is a significant benefit, and it's a departure from our usual approach because a company can now qualify for a presumption of a declination even if the whistleblower comes to the department first. The through line on this is very clear. Our whistleblower program encourages internal reporting and incentivizes companies to invest in strong internal reporting structures. And we are already seeing companies responding positively to the incentives that the criminal division has announced by self-reporting misconduct within 120 days of receiving an internal report from a whistleblower. So this was just rolled out in early August. We're already seeing very, very promising reports come to us. We're seeing this carrots and sticks incentive structure bearing fruit. This entire dichotomy, the carrots and sticks, is working. Both qualitatively and quantitatively, we're seeing this. In the past 18 months, we have seen a measurable uptick in the number of self-reports that we receive from corporations. And while not all compliance presentations are excellent, I can say that firsthand. I can also say firsthand that we are certainly seeing an overall improvement in the quality, the care, and the sophistication of the compliance programs that we are evaluating when we meet with companies and their representatives. So we're not slowing down. There will be much more to come this year before the year is out. This last stretch of the year is always becomes some of our busiest time of year. We're going to have, as I said, more corporate resolutions this year than we had last year. With incentives and forward-thinking initiatives, international collaboration, and the hard work and dedication of the folks on my team and throughout the department, we will continue to bring the most impactful cases that hold culpable individuals and companies accountable. And we will work hard to do so in a way that is fair and transparent and consistent. Thank you again for the opportunity to speak with you. There you are. And I hope that today's conference is informative and successful. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Mr. Graham Leon for giving a really so impressive opening remarks. And I think in order for the carrot and stick scheme work better, I think transparency is essential, and not only for the companies so to be investigated, and also to prepare the compliance program, and also academics to identify the the topics to be discussed in academic field. So, and I hope these sessions we have today will be so helpful for that aspect. Thank you. And let's move on to the welcome speech. And please welcome Mr. Yusuke Nakanishi. So he's a counselor of political section.
Thank you very much. Welcome you all to our embassy. My name is Yusuke Nakanishi, Deputy Chief of the Political Section here. My welcome remarks will be brief. It will not be as intense as Glenn's one. But let me say that we are really honored for us, the embassy, to host the 6th white-collar crime workshop together with Shinshu University. And the workshop is now an annual event that our embassy and me personally are really privileged to co-host. And I'm always impressed by the really cool and fancy flyer that Shinshu University prepares. As the embassy, we should learn on how to make this kind of flyers. But more than that, we are really, we enjoy the intense and pioneering discussion that takes place. And I understand that there will be 6 very interesting roundtable sessions today. And the variety of themes that will be covered is, I personally think, is very impressive. And as always, what makes this event such a unique and valuable opportunity is that it brings experts like you and people in government like us from across the field all together. And I have to say that regrettably, white-collar crime and corporate scandal is one of the major challenges that we continue to face. And when, well, the first of the incidents that comes up to my mind is a famous one that happened in Japan after the Second World War, the Showa Denko company scandal, where it involved Japanese politicians, GHQ people, and resulted in the the dissolution of the Ashida administration of the time. Time has passed, but the corporate wrongdoings is continuously reported. Those wrongdoings is becoming more and more sophisticated. And those white-collar crime and corporate scandals actually affect ordinary people's lives. And for instance, the recent incident in Japan of a major pharmaceutical company was reported to have caused death and serious health damage to hundreds of people. And the company's initial response was regarded very problematic. So such incidents reminds us how essential it is to combat and prevent companies' wrongdoings, as well as the importance of public-private partnership to tackle these incidents. And from the government side, in order to successfully prevent white-collar crime, we believe it is essential to secure effective enforcement against each offense, both institutionally and operationally. However, along with the progress of data technology and following the complications of social and economic activities, law enforcement has also been forced to change the methods it uses to detect offenses and the ways it obtains evidence. And regarding this, we are paying close attention to the initiatives of the United States as well as the United Kingdom that actively engages offending companies to voluntarily disclose their wrongdoings. And as Glenn said, I mean, the CWA program that the Department of Justice has announced and implemented. What we are really interested in here, the details, and to discuss on how to establish, on how the companies should establish their own compliance policy in response. And I also learned that in the United Kingdom, they have enacted its new Economic Crime and Corporate Transparency Act last year. And I recognize that this act is epoch-making in 2 ways. And one is the introduction of the failure to prevent fraud offense. And the other one is the company's responsibility for the act of senior managers. I'm looking forward to the state-of-the-art discussions regarding this act, and especially about company responses to it. And finally, there will be a roundtable session about national security and economic statecraft. And as you know, economic security is one of the issues that our ministry, our administration is drawing close attention to, and we are strengthening our initiatives. I think this workshop is a valuable opportunity for all of us to discuss about these practices and share our concerns. And I'm sure that the discussions held during the roundtable sessions will be very enlightening and beneficial. Lastly, I would like to reiterate my appreciation for making this event possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for Mr. Nakanishi for giving an excellent welcoming speech. And so, as you mentioned, so I think the information gap between the government and the companies and businesses, due to their very fast, quick changing world and the very cutting edge technology, I think it's really important to develop the capital stick. I think so. From that aspect as well, so we can discuss in later sessions. Thank you so much. And while the schedule is a little bit delayed, so we can start the session 1 in 5 minutes.